Bob Meadows. Welcome to Flx Matters. Have you noticed that poor old word iconic seems to be overworked these days? So why do I mention it? Read on. Well, today our subject is a building in Felixstowe, which really is a cultural landmark, and it's there in all its glory every day in our opening sequence. Yes, of course, it's the Spa Pavillion, and it's been part of the landscape in this town in one form or another for more than a century. From its birth as the Floral Hall, which was built around a bandstand in 1909, through to the present-day Spa Pavillion, which was rebuilt after being damaged in the Second World War, to emerge as the iconic, yes, iconic building that we all know today, with its ever-changing programme of entertainment and its magnificent sea views. And like a grand old ocean liner, it needs not only a steady pair of hands at the helm, but also a person with vision and flair. My guest for today is just that person. She is Jules Howes, the theatre manager of the Spa Pavillion, Felixstowe. Jules, good morning and welcome to Felixstowe Television. Thank you for coming in. So Jules, theatre manager, just how many jobs is that?
Oh goodness, I can't list them all, I don't think. Basically, I have the overall see over the staff at the Spa Pavillion. So we've obviously got backstage team, we've got front of house team, we've got a restaurant as well, 120-seater restaurant. I look after the bookings, so I do all of the bookings for the shows for the coming months, and I'm also looking after the marketing and promotion.
It goes on and on.
It does go on and on, yeah. I could go on.
How many people is that in all if you take part-timers and full-timers?
Including myself, we've got 47.
47.
Lots of those are casual. We've only got 6 full-time staff, so yes. The rest of them are casual, that are brought in if we have a show in, and obviously in the restaurant, summer months, obviously there's more staff in the restaurant than there is during the winter. And
as manager, are you responsible on your own for hiring and firing?
I suppose you could say that, but obviously the ultimate decision does come down to me, but I do have managers for each department.
So there's a sort of committee for hiring, is this sort of thing?
Yes, there is, yeah. There's sort of like, at the end of the day, if somebody wants somebody in the restaurant, they come to see me first, see obviously if we've got money available in the budget, and then it will be Sarah Beard, who's the front of house and restaurant manager. It will be ultimately her decision.
Yeah. Well, you particularly mentioned amongst all the jobs booking the acts and publicity. So which of those takes up most of your time?
Publicity, I would say, basically. The booking is literally one phone call. Once that booking is put in, then obviously you can go on to the next. But it's the promotion of all of the shows that we have throughout the year that takes up the majority of my time. And how much of the year do you do at one stretch? Is it 6 months and 6 months, or...? With the bookings, yeah, I always tend to book a year in advance. So I book 6 months at a time. So I do January to June, and there's a brochure for that, and then there's normally July through to December. Yes. In a sense, that's better for the public to take in. They don't really want a year's worth all at once. No, and also if you did book up the whole year, I always leave a few days, because some shows might come available, and then you filled up your whole programme, so you haven't got any space to be able to put something in if something really good comes along. So it's sort of like the majority of the year, and then leave gaps for specialist shows. Okay, now when you're booking, let's just concentrate on booking for a while. Are there any particular factors which limit your ability to book some of the shows that you might like to have? Obviously we're in quite close proximity to the Ipswich region, which has got an awful lot more seats than us. So we are limited to the amount of seating areas that we have. Can you just give us some figures? Yeah, we've got 892 seats, and the Ipswich region, I believe, is around 1,300. So there's quite a big difference. And at the end of the day, all promoters now are in there, a lot of it, obviously, to see how much money that they can bring in order to make the show a success. So if they've got 12 or 1,300 seats at the Ipswich region, or they've got 892 at the Spa Pavillion, in order to bring the same amount of money in, our ticket prices would have to be extremely higher. So that's if we were given the opportunity, but unfortunately we don't get that opportunity. The public may not have been aware of that, so they might say in despair, why doesn't the Spa Pavillion do this or this? But in that sense, your hands are tied by the position that we hold sort of in the highlight. They are really, yeah. I mean, obviously as well, what also is is part of that is obviously the routing. I'm only wanting to book one show in, whereas a promoter is wanting to book their show into, say, 30 or 40 venues.
Are you
So
talking
it's to do
about
with how the map goes around the country.
Right, yes.
They obviously need to, they're not going to go from Scotland one day and then down to Felixstowe and then across to, somewhere in
they
Kent
used
or
to.
somewhere like that.
They used to back in the 50s and 60s, and the acts hated it
Yeah.
because they'd be in Scotland and then in
Flying
Dover.
around here, there and everywhere.
Craziness. You obviously need to have a sensible route that enables you to book hotels and places to stay and,
Well, at the end of the day,
and not tire everybody out.
That's right. I mean, they've got to have obviously rest days in between. A lot of the acts that we have come now, they do travel about 4 or 5 hours. They come, they unload the lorries. A lot of the people that are actually in the shows themselves, they don't all have these big roadies that come in. They do it. They unload. They have a quick bite to eat. They're doing a sound check. They're doing a rehearsal, and they're straight into the show. And then they're packing it all away, and then they're going on to the next venue straight after that. So
I remember very
busy.
recently, PJ Proby turned up in his own camper van.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Quite remarkable. Okay, so we've discussed that quite well. The shows that we do get, how would you categorise the kind of show that the Spa Pavillion is suitable for?
We do try and have a wide variety of shows throughout the year. We obviously have a lot of kids shows that we put on, which are extremely successful. We do tribute acts, which people always say, "Oh no, tribute acts,"
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they are very good shows. We don't tend to book shows in the Spa Pavillion that we don't want people to come and see because they're not very good. They are top class quality shows. We also have musicals. We have a lot of community venues or community groups that you also use the Spa Pavillion. And it's gone up more and more, to be honest, in the past 12 months, with more and more dance schools wanting to book their end of year concerts, if you like, at the end of at the end of their season. We have music. We have ballet. We've tried everything really. At the end of the day, we've got comedy. We have the drama festival that's been there for 61 years. So yeah, we try and cover every aspect of it really. Comedy is another big feature as well.
It's a far different setup from the one I remember at the Spa myself as a child, where it would be a summer season lasting from April through to September. Basically the same cast of a comedian, a singer, a girl dancer, sometimes a girl dancing troupe, and so on and so forth. And then they would all do little sketches together in between the acts. And that would be, the full 6 months. So presumably the person who was doing the booking then just had to organise that one thing, and that was half the year accounted for.
Yeah.
But I suppose does this reflect what's happened to Felixstowe? Now that Felixstowe is no longer really a holiday resort with people staying a week and a fortnight in seafront hotels. It's day trippers now.
I think, to be honest as well, I think entertainment has changed in the fact that, yes, around sort of like, I know there was a lot in the 60s, 70s. I don't even know if it was around in the early 80s where they used to have these variety shows that lasted quite a long time over the summer. But now it's trying to see how many different shows you can get in that offer different variety throughout the year. So we tend to do around about 130 throughout the season. And I just think that there's not that many variety shows, if you like, available now that could run for a 3-4 month period.
You've got one that you book in, is it from Chroma?
We do have Chroma Seaside Special. That is one of the last surviving end of the pier variety shows that is available in the year, and they do 14 weeks.
They do 14 weeks, that's quite
and then it
remarkable,
comes to
isn't it?
us as well, So it's coming soon, actually, in a couple of weeks' time.
Yes. Now you mentioned community groups and amateur theatre.
Yes.
That's quite a big part of your programme
It is.
now. I'm just thinking you have one act play sort of festival, drama festival, and then you have Radio Suffolk coming in soon.
Yeah,
and
they do it
in January. You had Felixstowe Radio putting on a show of its own. Why does the Spa do this? What's the sort of thinking behind it?
I think that we want to provide a performance space for all of the local groups. At the end of the day, we're not expensive to hire. Some people would beg to differ on that, but we're not expensive compared to other venues in the area. And at the end of the day, lots of us have been involved in amateur theatre. I myself am still involved in amateur theatre and performed on the Spa stage this June. So we all have an understanding of how hard it is in order to get a venue for a certain amount of time. Now, when we do the bookings, all of our community group bookings are put in the Spa Pavillion diary first. So before I do any other bookings for anybody else, they have their weeks. Now, they are offered the same week that they have always had, because obviously, you know, you've got certain groups that like to do certain weeks throughout the year. They have those year on year on year, and only if they want to change it do I then have to try and negotiate and say, well, okay, well, yes, we can, but it's at the expense of this, so let's see what we can work out. But yeah, they are always put in first. And we've got some groups as well that have come in new this year that have now booked in a second date later in the season. So they're not in the brochure, but it's their, you know, it's their parents, their aunties, uncles and everybody that come to see them, and they are a great success. So I think we provide a really good service for the local community.
And of course with the family aspect, that helps a great deal to fill the house, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Well, I think at the end of the day, if you've got families that are coming and the children enjoy, in future years they are your adult audience.
Yes.
I mean, that's
or your adult performers.
Or your adult performers, exactly.
Of the future.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, you said that, you know, that these sorts of theatres are where you had your beginnings,
yes.
so to speak, and it's just wonderful that they still exist up to this point.
That's
and
right.
We'll come to that in a moment.
Yeah.
The size of the audience, and we've been getting some low attendances. What sort of numbers would you need to make any given show cover its costs?
To be honest, it's different for every show.
Yes.
They're not all the same. They are, if you like, booked on a different deal, and how you book the show is dependent on how much money you need to bring in order to cover it. But I can probably say that the majority of our shows just about break even. So it's enough money that comes in ticket sales to cover the cost of the show that you buy in, to cover the cost of the staff that we have available in order to have that show running. So technical crew, front of house team, box office staff, the bar is obviously open, restaurant if we do pre-show meals. There's an awful lot of factors that come into it. And also I think I'd like to touch on ticket prices at this point, because we do have an awful lot of queries saying, God, your ticket prices are so expensive. And actually the promoters have always wanted to charge more, and I've tried my hardest to try and keep those prices as low as we can in order that, you know, we can encourage more people to come, because I know times are hard. And at the end of the day, if you've got a ticket price that's too high, people are not going to come. So it needs to be at a reasonable level. I do have quite a few, you know, backwards and forwards emails and telephone conversations in order to get that, but at the end of the day they do come round to our way of thinking.
I think you are about £7 or £8 down on Ipswich Regent for your average run-of-the-mill thing, and obviously a wee bit more expensive for the occasion when you do get a big star name.
That's right, exactly.
But it's almost inevitable that you would expect to pay, say, £25 for a big star. And a
lot of those, if they are a really high ticket price, they are set by the promoter, and I can't change their mind, because it's the same across the board. Say, for example, Jimmy Carr. You know, his prices are the same if you come to here, the Ipswich region, or if he goes up in London. You know, it's exactly the same price.
His management set that, and there's no getting around it.
They do, and at the end of the day, we sell Jimmy Carr out every time. He sells wherever he goes, so we don't have a problem with him.
You're also limited, I think, by some of the equipment and so on, big flats or items that are part of the scenery that an act wants to bring, or maybe by the size of a band. Could you just tell us about that, for example?
Well, we have got quite a big stage area, but unfortunately we can't fly.
Explain flying.
Flying is, you know, if you think of like, I don't know, Theatre Royal in Norwich, for example, you know, they can fly scenery up, out, you know, sometimes the theatres can put the stuff down into the stage. We've obviously got quite big wing space here, but we can't fly up into the ceiling.
And that makes a big difference?
Yeah, it does, because some of the big London shows, they will only tour to theatres that can fly. The Ipswich Regent can. So hence the reason that you get the big West End shows that
So we're not going to get Mamma Mia or Tonight's the Night?
I wish.
Sorry?
I wish we could have those. No.
We'd never be able to build that fantastic barricade.
No, there's no way, because that goes round and it goes down, and the stage is just enormous. And normally the space that you have that you can see is you would have that above and below as well for big, massive, you know, touring stage sets.
Yes, it's a shame, but I mean, it's just something that
it's the nature of
part of the nature of the Spa Pavillion, and I think people have come to understand that.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so.
Are you ever surprised when you're booking at what does draw the big crowds, and at what fails to draw them? Does that
Always, I think, to be honest, because obviously we can only book the shows that are available at the time when we want to book it.
Yeah.
So if there's a show that I say that I would like in, I don't know, August or September, they might only be touring from May to June. So therefore, I am limited and so, okay, I've got to put that in the first half of the season. Don't necessarily think it would work quite as well.
You've got to work it around your amateurs.
I have to work it around the amateurs, I have to work it around holidays. We do a summer youth project as well.
Yes.
We've just done our 10th anniversary project this year, which was the wedding singer. So we always have that in the summer holidays. So, if there aren't the shows available when you want to book it, I have to go with what there is.
So what's the big draw? What is Felixstowe's number one? What's you said Jimmy Carr?
Children's shows, I think. Children's shows. We've got Milkshake Live coming later on in November, and I'd sold out one show already, so now we've got a second.
No idea what that is.
Oh, it's got everybody in it. It's got everybody in it.
TV character,
Bananas in Pyjamas and Fifi and I don't know, there's loads of Pingu. There's everybody. Everybody's in that, So it's obviously got a big draw to young children.
Full house.
Full house. So I've had to put on a second performance.
Wow.
Yeah, later in the afternoon. Comedy as well always sells really, really well. Afternoon, what I'd class as sing-along shows. We get an awful lot of coach parties. Coach parties come, Tuesdays and Thursdays normally is coach party day, so I tend to book the afternoon shows on a Tuesday and a Thursday afternoon.
Songs from the war years, First or Second World War.
Things like that. And also shows that go through the years, from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, all the way up through to present day.
I've noticed a lot of them doing that now. They're not simply sticking with one musical genre, they're covering 4 or 5 decades.
I think it's to try and get bigger audiences, and at the end of the day, there is some really great music. I mean, you can't beat, I'll be honest, I was born in 1970, but you can't beat the music from the 50s and 60s. Well, rock and roll shows always sell really, really well.
You've got one coming up in the next period, haven't you?
We have.
Come on, everybody. We'll have a look at those in just a moment. And, let's have a look now, shall we, at what we've got to come for the remainder of 2012. And then we need to discuss the dreadful words 2013 January.
We do.
And what happens there. So let's turn to our first item here, which is Nashville Nights and Dixie Days. Tell us about that.
Okay, that's actually a local promoter, Neil Sands. He's been coming down to the Spa Pavillion for quite a number of years. He's Ipswich. So he's very, very local. And Nashville Nights and Dixie Days, is coming on this Saturday. And it's sort of like taking you through from country hits from Don Williams, Patsy Cline, Johnny Cash, Dolly Parton, Shania Twain.
All the big names.
So all the big names, really, and it is a fantastic, fantastic show.
Excellent. Let's move on, shall we now? And we have coming up Celebration 2012. What's that?
That's Ipswich Operatics and Dramatic Society.
Okay.
I think they are quite well known around the area. They normally do a show in April at the Ipswich region. They come here in October. And this is a celebration, I think, of lots of different shows that they've done over the past with music and singing. I know that they're doing a big John Barry selection as well, which is Bond themes and stuff like that.
Very appropriate.
Very, yes, it is. Very, very popular company and extremely, very well rehearsed and really good singers. So I think people will enjoy that. That's coming from the 4th to the 6th of October. So that's next week.
For my money, there's nothing better than a Bond tune.
No,
wonderful.
Exactly.
Okay, what's next? Coming up after Celebration 2012, we have the Seaside Spectacular. Is this the one that comes from
This is the one that comes from Cromer. It's had a very successful summer season there. They've done 14 weeks.
How do they manage to do that? How do they manage to do a 14-week run and still fill it? They must be getting coach trips from way outside Cromer.
I think it's grown in popularity, and it's almost a bit like Thursford Carol concert. It's got popular. Seaside Special has been there, for 35, 36 years.
Right.
So I think it's, everybody knows it.
Well, the
and
older
they know it's
generation
successful, and they know it's popular. And also Cromer is quite a large holiday destination. They've got a lot of drawing from Lincolnshire and Norfolk and from Kent. So, they do have a very popular following to Seaside Special, and it is a very, very good show.
And how long have we got it for?
We've got it for 2 days. It's on the 11th and 12th of October, 2:30 and 7:30 each day.
And is that a guaranteed sellout at the Spa Pavillion or not?
Not at the moment, ticket sales unfortunately are down across the board this year. I think we've We've had a lot to cope with this year. We've obviously had a lot of celebrations going on, Diamond Jubilee, the fabulous Paralympic and Olympic Games.
Yes.
Entertainment has taken a slight hit.
Yes, there was all this talk about how the Olympics were going to bring in trade for everybody across the board, and of course what happened was that people came in and went to the Olympics.
They're sport people, the people that want to see the sports. They're not people that want to come and see the sports and then go and see a theatre show in the evening.
It was a well-spread myth.
Yes, it was.
Okay, and what's next?
We've got Classical Divas, another show that's brought in by Neil Sands from Ipswich. New show for him, and that is, basically classical and diva crossovers, if you like. So you've got the likes of, what have we got here? Oh, The Flower Duet, Nelly Fantasia, I Dreamed a Dream, Hallelujah, Ness and Dorma,
I see.
World and Union, Time to Say Goodbye, all of those types of things.
These are the sort of light classics that have made it through into mainstream, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Rather than the serious classical music.
Yes,
these are the ones that have made their way into the pop charts or come from Andrew Lloyd Webber type musicals.
That's right,
and so on.
and extremely strong cast.
Yeah. Well, I can't see any reason why that shouldn't go.
No.
I mean, if it were on in the West End, it would go mad, wouldn't it?
Well, this is what we want people, there might be some people out there that have never even been to the Spa Pavillion. All I would say is encourage them to have a look at the website. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. We are sort of like advertising everywhere, and just to give us a chance and come and have a look to see what we have got, because we do have a fantastic arrangement of shows coming up in the next 3 months. October, November, December are our busiest months of the season. So
let's just whisk through, because I'm aware of the time and we've got one big major topic to discuss, which is the future. So let's just whisk through these next few. Mark Beaumont, he's an explorer.
He was sort of made famous, if you like, by his world record of cycling around the world. I think he's done it in 197 days or something, 18,000 miles. And since then, he's done an awful lot of other explorers and climbed mountains and goodness knows what. So I've seen him twice. Been to see him in London. Extremely interesting to listen to, and he would appeal to anybody that's into cycling, climbing, rowing, kayaking, that sort of thing. So he's coming on the 16th of October.
Okay, and the next contestant right in here, please.
Another night at the musical show. This is a company that came to us a number of years ago with Mad About the Musicals. It's a professional company. This is a brand new show, and Michael Courtney is back in it. So I'm extremely pleased that he's come back to the venue.
Great. Okay, a couple more, and then we need to discuss the big topic. Well, this one is dear to my heart. I guess I have seen this probably 4 times, and I'm still not tired of it.
Comes every year, actually. It's a very successful show, and like you say, it's that type of genre and music that I think will never tire.
It's forever.
It is forever. Shame some of the music we've got now isn't the same.
Well, I have to say that I did run out of patience with the pop charts somewhere around the beginning of the 90s and into the noughties, and I didn't feel that music does have an enduring quality. But this stuff, it's all your rock and rollers. I mean, they're all there, aren't they? Brenda Lee, Bill Haley, Johnny and the Hurricanes, Chuck Berry, all beautifully recreated by some real experts. And I have to say, it's just a riot, really.
Oh, it is.
When you get a good crowd,
it is a fabulous show.
Is up there.
The poster, actually, to be fair, doesn't do it justice.
No, I don't know why they use the originals. I think they should use shots of them doing it, recreating it, rather than try to show the original artist. We all know what Elvis Presley looks like. Let's have your Elvis, your Eddie Cochran. But that's their publicity.
It is,
one more. Let's just do one more, if we may, and that is the big band. Big bands are still popular. Big bands
are extremely popular at the Spa Pavillion. I tend to put around about 3 or 4 on a year, to be honest. But this is a full 10-piece orchestra with singers, and it's literally 5 stars. Oh, he did, he did. He was he was brilliant, and he did very much look like him as well.
So go back to big bands. So this is selling already?
It is, it is selling very, very well. So I would urge people, if they do want to get tickets, they need to hurry up.
For this particular one? This is
that's on the 25th of October.
Okay, well, if we can find some time just before we end, we might be able to come back from there. We've got as far as big band, but it's the big question now. exactly what does happen at Spa Pavillion in January 2013. No welling up now.
No welling up. I don't know is the honest answer.
Yeah.
I don't know what happens to the venue in 2013. The council are obviously hoping that they can find another operator to run the venue, whether it be as a theatre or whether it be as another type of leisure arts facility activity. The options are available now for people to put in a bid. I believe that's going out somewhere around the middle of October or something.
There have been some failed bids.
There's one. There was one bid received, and basically that was withdrawn because the council were going to recommend that they were going to reject it. So rather than it having to be discussed at cabinet and then it all gets messy.
Was that for a musical entertainment venue or was it for something else?
No, it was to keep it running as it was. To be honest, as a Spa Pavillion, but also to open it up for maybe training purposes and also to have more community events running. So yeah,
I can't imagine what was wrong with that one then.
I don't know. At the end of the day, I don't know the ins and outs.
I've heard other people talk about dividing the space up into different units. And what about the restaurant? That automatically goes with it, does it?
Well, it's part of it, but if somebody
the spa goes, could the restaurant be saved as a unit on its own?
The restaurant, yes, the restaurant could operate on its own, but obviously because the theatre is attached to it, if you don't have anybody using it and it's just sitting there empty, it's going to get damp. It's going to, it's just I would like to see the venue still operating as it is, but as we stand, the people that we work for, we have had our contract terminated, and our last working day, if you like, is the 6th of January. So that's our last day of trading.
So you're all on notice, and those of you who qualify will have redundancy?
Yes, we've all had letters, and that is the sad state of affairs. They've all come out this week. So
it's more than sad.
It's not been a very nice time, to be honest, over the last few months, and it's all, I've got my letter now, and it's all very real.
Awful.
Yeah.
Is there anything that could be done to prevent actual demolition?
I'm optimistic. I don't want to see the Spa Pavillion,
rubble on the ground.
Yeah, rubble on the ground. I don't think that's an option. I think, with the fact that obviously there's lottery funding available in order to redo all the spa gardens.
Yes.
They've just done all of the.
Is there a tie-in there?
Well, the Spa Pavilion sits right in the middle of it, so I don't know the ins and outs.
do the gardens up in a heap of rubble.
Yeah, I don't know the ins and outs of the money that is available, but I am aware that they do know of the situation with the Spa Pavillion, and they are keeping a very close eye on it. So I think, I don't know. There's a lot of I don't knows, and that is genuine. At the moment, all we know is that we have had some commercial estate agents round, and once one of those is selected by the council, they will be going out and putting it to market, if you like, offering the freehold, so I understand, for it to be whatever in the new year.
It's a very sad time for Felixstowe, and two things I would throw in. One is obviously the recession, but the other is bottoms on seats.
It is. It's support, really. It's hard to say that people of Felixstowe don't support the venue as much as we would have hoped. The figures do speak for themselves, and only 26% of our audiences come from Felixstowe and the surrounding areas.
You see, Felixstowe's being complacent. It's almost as if Felixstowe doesn't believe this.
Yeah.
But we need to look right into the camera and say, Felixstowe, come on, believe it.
Exactly.
This is real.
Yeah.
You've got your piece of paper in your, well, not in your hand at this moment, but you have it, and it says end of the road.
Yeah, last working day is the 6th of January. So we're hoping that something can happen and something can be saved. Obviously, I would love to still be involved with the Spa Pavillion, but if that's not meant to be, that's not meant to be, and it would be a very sad day.
Would you have any conception of what you would do if it were your job to save the spa, apart from mount a campaign?
I'd like to win the lottery and I'd save it.
You would, yes.
Yeah.
You feel it's a worthwhile.
Yeah, I've got a lot of childhood memories of the venue, having appeared on the stage a number of times, and also, I've got an interest in the theatre, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this job.
No, absolutely.
And I think it's a real shame that it has come to this, and that maybe there wasn't a phased, rather than having the subsidy just going from X amount to nothing, Why has it not been phased over, say, a 3-year period? Okay, right, that this year it was halved, and next year it's cut down again, but it's gone from here to nothing, from here to nothing in one fell swoop. And I think it's, you know, it's just the nature of, you know, the council obviously have got to save some money from somewhere, and they've obviously having to look at their assets. So it's a shame. It's a real shame.
I wonder if those powerful people up there might smile on us if, for some reason, between now and December, we had wonderful turnouts at the Spa Pavillion.
I hope so, because we're still having our meetings every quarter, and reporting on how things are doing. And
so do you think they could just be influenced by a wonderful turnout?
Oh, I wouldn't like to say.
No.
I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
It's wishful thinking.
It is wishful thinking.
It would be wonderful if it happened. But on the other hand, another way to look at it is, if this is the end, then for goodness sake, get your time in while the opportunity is there, because after that, who knows?
Well, we don't know what it's going to become. I mean, my worry is that if the venue does close and it shuts its doors on the 6th of January after the pantomime, it's obviously going to have a dark period, and in that dark period, what's going to happen? Is it going to be vandalised? Is it going to, is there going to be damp problem? Is there going to be leaks? Is there going to be this? There's so many what ifs and maybes that could happen. And if it was dark for, say, a period of 6 months, when it is open, is it going to take 6 months then to get it back to normal, get it back to, say, a venue that is acceptable of having people through the doors again? So I don't know. It's sad.
Jules, we don't just have time to go back through the remainder of the posters for forthcoming events, but if people want to know them through to December, if they phone your box office number, can they still get a copy of your 6-monthly brochure?
Yes, they can. I mean, our brochure is everywhere, to be honest. It's in Ipswich, it's in shopping centres, tourist information centres. But yeah, they can call the box office on 01394 282 126, or they can just come in and pick one up from the box office. We're open 6 days a week, Monday to Saturday from 10 until 5. I would urge, actually, just want to say something, that we do get a lot of comments saying that the nobody answers the phone is just ringing constantly, but we've got 4 lines that come into the Spa Pavillion. If the phone is just ringing, it isn't because we're ignoring it, it's because we're busy on another call or we've got somebody in front of us. So I would urge people to be patient and just hang on. We will answer your call eventually.
Jules Howes, Theatre Manager of the Spa Pavillion in Felixstowe, thank you very much for coming to see us. Because Felixstowe matters. Bye-bye for now.